I'm gonna start this off with an intro, just to get in the
Okay.
to get
All right.
right.
Cool.
All right, I'm just gonna get ready.
Yeah.
Don't don't make me
Yeah.
laugh. Just kidding.
Never give up, you can make it. 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 Never give up on your goals, you can make it. Never give up. Even when you want a person, never give up. Don't you do it. You can make it. You can make it. You can make it. You can make it.
Yo, what up? It's your boy XcaliberZero, the music producer you can grow with, and today I'm with my homie Bernard, aka is it Nareum World? Because I used to go by Sean P.
Yes.
I know you
Yes,
switched your name
Nareum
up.
World
It's what is it?
now. Yeah. Nareum World now.
Okay, I'm with my boy Nareum World. I've known this guy for, sheesh, man, it's been like at least 7 to 8 years. We met
Yeah.
back at Full Sail University. He is from Georgia himself. You're from Cambridge, right?
Yeah. Oh, Bainbridge.
Bainbridge?
Yeah, Bainbridge, Georgia.
He's from Bainbridge, Georgia. And yeah, we met at Full Sail University down in Winter Park, Orlando, Florida, about 7 or 8 years ago. We were in the same class. We kind of started at the same time in the Recording Arts Bachelor's of Science. And well, I don't remember the first class that we were in, but I do remember that you were recording. Do you remember when we first started? Or when we
Um,
the first class?
I don't even know, man. I don't even,
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
been,
even remember.
yeah, it's been a long time. But go ahead, man. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell people about yourself and how you started rapping, and what made you go to Full Sail.
Yeah.
Anything, your background.
So
For sure.
cool. So my name. So, they'll get that. They'll probably catch on to that a little later on when they listen to the songs and stuff.
For sure.
But yeah, man, so my name is Nareum World. It used to be Shine Paradise, but I don't know, I've seen a lot of Shines, I came across a lot of those names. So I wanted to try something a little different, and I did a lot of brainstorming, and eventually changed it to Nareum World, which the actual word Nareum stands for Nareum, which stands for nobody actually really ever understands me.
Oh, snap.
So, nobody actually really ever the short, just the name Nareum, it's by itself means nobody actually really ever understands me. But when I put it with Nareum World, it's nobody actually really ever understands my world. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go with that.
That's pretty
And
creative.
then yeah. So I switched it from that. And then but how I got started rapping and everything, man, was just it's kind of weird because I got it from like watching my brothers and stuff, but they don't rap. They it was just them listening to music, me riding around with them sometimes, and I saw that they was always like rapping the lyrics and stuff, the songs, man. I thought it was like so cool. I was like, man, it'd be cool if I can do that. And then I started eventually just started kind of mimicking what I saw. And then at some point in time, I actually started writing my own lyrics. I was in sixth grade. I still remember it, man. I started writing my music when I was in sixth grade. And it just grew from there, man. I think I kind of like made like a little small mixtape on like a little, I forgot what it was, man. But I know like one of my old homies, he bought this program called Acid Music Studio, I think it's called.
Yeah, I remember Acid.
And all we had, and all we had at that time was like a computer mic. Like it was a cheap computer mic too, man. Maybe like 20, like no, his was like maybe like $15-$20. I had one that was maybe like $3 or $4. I didn't care. I was just so ambitious to like try to record music because it was a new thing for me. So like I recorded it, man, and I remember like I seen like the actual studio microphones, and I saw that they had this, which I didn't know what it was at the time, but it was like the screen, which is a pop filter. So they had this screen in front of the mic. What is that for? It must be for something. Then I looked into it. It was a pop, for the plosives and whatnot. So I was like, okay, cool. Well, let me try to create that pop filter because I didn't have the money to get it myself. So what I did was I got some styrofoam cups, cut a hole in the bottom, put some tissue, put tissue in it. It's crazy, man. Like it's like I wish I had a camera. I couldn't afford one though, but I wish I had a camera back then that could show like the step, like the whole like process from beginning to like up to now, man. It's so crazy because there was even a point in time where I tried to create like a vocal booth, and I was using I think like some type of foam in a cardboard box with that microphone, and then with a computer mic, if I'm not mistaken. And then eventually I upgraded to like a $50 mic, which was kind of a big deal to me because I went from like a $3 mic to like a $50 mic. So it's like cool. Yeah. And And then, it went like, then I learned about Pro Tools. So I upgraded from Acid Music Studio to Pro Tools. And then I got into that whole thing. And then fast forward a little bit further, being here in my hometown, there's not a whole lot to do.
Mm.
And I still remember the day, man, I was talking with my mom and she was like, well, either you can, try to get a job here, which I definitely didn't want to do because I like the lifestyle around here is just so dull and like depressing. So I was like, well, I don't want to do that. So well, she was like, well, maybe you can try going to college. So I was like, yeah, I don't know what to go to college for. All I knew at the time is that I liked music a lot. So I was like, well, let me look into seeing what kind of colleges do music. And I did my little research and I came across, I don't know if I came across a couple, but I think maybe Full Sail was the closest.
Mm.
So I was like, well, let me look into Full Sail and see what this is about. And then I researched it a little bit, thought about it a little bit. I was like, and I saw that, they got recording studios and, do all kind of, cool stuff. So I gave them a call, talk, we chat a little bit. And then they were like, well, what? I still remember the lady asked me, what is it that you like, that you want to do? I was like, well, I want to record and I want to learn how to mix. She was like, okay, you want recording arts? All right, cool. But there was a recording arts. I know there was two different versions. There was like a bachelor's and then there was another.
It was like associates, It was like the 2-year or 1-year version, and then there was like the extended version, which is I think we both did the extended version.
Yeah. And I was like, you know what? Let me go for the extended. And I didn't know, man. I didn't know how I guess they call it accelerated. I think, but I didn't know just how accelerated it was.
Oh yeah, bro.
It was like people. Yeah.
We were going in there. We were doing like a class a month, learning physics in a month, learning the craziest math classes in a month. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And then it was like, if I'm not mistaken, did we do more than one class a month? I think.
No, yeah, you're right. It was two. We did basically it was two 4-hour labs and then 2 4-hour lectures. Oh, actually 2 4-hour lectures and 2 4-hour labs. It was reversed. And it was crazy. It was a grind for sure. Yeah. It was going by fast, bro. Like I felt that one class. What was it? The one where you like learned about lossy files and all that other stuff. I think it was like digital audio.
Was it DAE? I think digital audio or something like that.
Yeah, dude. I felt that class. We had homework on the first day. The first day it was homework assigned. I'm like, what is going on, bro? Like what? Yeah, that class was like that class was crazy, bro. I failed that class like 3 times. Yeah, it was a grind going through Full Sail, for sure.
Yeah, man, it was. I remember. I know. There was one class because, like, even in school, like I was like at a young age, I was like diagnosed with like ADHD. So like it was me focusing was like a really big thing. And I know it got to the point where it was one class I took. It was the last class that I took. And it was kind of tragic and I couldn't get past that. But what's crazy is it wasn't a hard class. It was just that mine couldn't push past that point anymore. It was so crazy. Like I forgot what class it was, man. But it was the class where we it was the advanced, because I guess they give you the basic version of that class and then they can give you the advanced version of that same class later on down the road. I was in the advanced version of that class, and it seemed like the moment I went in, I was like, okay, this today, I got it, I learned something. And the second the teacher started teaching, it's like my brain just like cut off. And I was like, I couldn't focus. I couldn't I just couldn't stay where I started feeling. I failed that class, man, like 2 times. And then I think what they call them, but the person that like checks up on you and stuff, they called me. It was like, okay, we're gonna have to put you on like, I think it was a probation or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, and then he said, but if you don't make it this time, man, we're gonna have to let you go. I was like, okay, which really sucked, but I didn't worry about it too much. I just was like, I'm gonna just give it my all, man, because I feel like, I did not want to go back home. It was so depressing back home.
Right.
I was like, man, I got to do this, man. Yeah. And then like it didn't work out, but still at the end of the day, I still take a lot from it. Just the experience and then meeting everyone. Us meeting each other, man. It was crazy, man. Like just me me being able to experience something on the outside like that is crazy because like when I was in my hometown, I didn't experience much. So it's just like to experience that for the first time, kind of like being on my own, which is crazy, man. But, you know, I definitely enjoyed myself. You know, I wish I could have stayed a little bit longer, but I definitely enjoyed the process of like just going from start to finish, man, seeing all these amazing labs, you know, meeting amazing people and, you know, just the whole thing, man, just being like this thing of just like, oh, man, it's an experience that I'll definitely never forget. You know, and I'm glad I made some videos, which I actually have on my old hard drive, crashed.
Dang.
But yeah, man. But I saved some of them, some of the videos, and I had that hard drive since 2012, and it finally started acting like funny in 2019, and then 2020 has been a year, man. I don't know what.
Yeah, 2020 is crazy. 2020 is crazy.
Like, yeah, man.
Yeah, bro.
Like in 2019, my hard drive started going crazy, man. 2020, it said, "All right, bro, I'm gonna holler at you." Dang.
Yeah.
No. Like,
I remember back in those days where we were going to Full Sail when we first met, you were like this really outgoing person, and I was like super shy, super timid, and and you would always have your camera on. You would be in classes and stuff like that. Like especially the one I forgot when we started getting to like the later classes when we were in like the big studio, the main studio that they have there. And I remember you just recording. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you were just recording everything. I'd be so shy, stuff like that. But it's cool to see that stuff now because I remember we went to your house a few times when we made like content back then before it was like an actual thing. And we shot like some videos and stuff. And we were making a song from scratch, which I have on my old YouTube video, which I'll put a clip on the actual podcast when I upload it. But yeah, I remember all those times where like it was cool being around you because you helped me get out of my shell and open up and experience a different version and try to like and express myself and not just be so shy and timid and be able to broadcast like talents, you know, with another creative like yourself creatively. It was some fun times, man. Like I remember we would just pull up, just record, set up to your to your setup and just literally make a beat from scratch, record the whole thing on video camera, and then you would go in the booth, we would record you would rap the whole entire song that we had just made, and you had like came up with the melody. Yeah, it was a crazy video. I'll put it in here for sure. But yeah, man, it was definitely dope seeing like being in those classes with you and stuff like that during those times because I didn't make many friends back then. So it was cool to have like a homie because you were like one of the only homies that I had that was like, I was actually like hanging out with back then because I was just to myself, man. I didn't network. I don't know. I was just super insecure, but it was cool during those times because we just made some dope music and we were able to keep that relationship to what we have now. And yeah, man, it was dope for sure. I definitely am fortunate for Full Sail and then being able to meet you and stuff like that through that time and just keep in touch because I remember the first time, bro, you showed me your music. I remember it was on MySpace. You were telling me you rap and there was a lot of rappers at Full Sail. There was a lot of producers at Full Sail, but I remember you showed me your stuff and I was just like, what? Hold on, what? This is you? Because like your rap voice, bro, is like perfect, man. Like you're rapping it, like your music is crazy, for real. Like I've always said that. I've always showed my friends your music. Like you can ask, I can bring any of my friends on here and ask them about your music and they will talk about how much they like your music. So it was cool that, we can stay in touch because, right now we just worked on an NBA album and we basically just created 10 beats and 10 songs. You recorded over 10 songs in like 3 weeks. How was like 3 weeks or a month?
Yeah, about a month.
Yeah, bro. So it's cool that we can connect like that again. But yeah, man, like, can you tell me about like your process when you start writing and how you come up with your music? Because if people haven't heard your music, they're definitely going to hear it on this podcast and they're going to see what I'm talking about.
For sure. But like, so as far as the process goes, like sometimes, man, I'll listen to a beat and I'll just like get in the zone with it, man. I'll listen to it a little bit, and then sometimes maybe I even go take a break if I can't. Something doesn't hit me right then on fire. Like when I'm listening to the beat, what I'll do is I'll just take beats. I will do something. I'll go whether play the video game or do something that kind of exercises my mind a little bit. Mm-hmm. Then while I'm doing whatever it is that I'm doing, still kind of like have that melody of the beat in my head, and then something like it can be just like a word or maybe just one little part. I'm like, I like that. And I'll be okay. Let me go back to the studio and because I can't write it on my phone because I don't have which is kind of weird. Most phones I have let me type in it, but so I go back to in the studio, get on the computer, I type it up, and then I'll just kind of build from there. And it's a process normally, which is why I say it's kind of crazy with this project that we kind of got it done so quick, because normally what I would do is like it would take me, man, maybe at least a week, maybe to like come up with some lyrics. There's been times where I had a beat that I really liked, but I couldn't make anything to. And then like it was a couple months later that I went back to it and then made something like in a couple of hours. So I've always been that kind of person to like, it's like timing, timing does matter, when you do something at the right time. But now with this new project, it's kind of put me in the mindset of maybe I just need to put a little bit more energy into it and think about it in a different way. You know what I mean? Like it kind of inspired me to think different.
For sure.
Which was kind of still it was kind of still on the same principles, but now it's just like, okay, I'm not leaving out of this studio until I can do something. Like, I don't care if it's just coming up with normally it was like, okay, let me try to come up with something real quick. Okay, if I don't, go out and just do something. Okay, now it's like, well, let me just try as hard as I can. It's just stay in here and just listen to it. I don't care how long, maybe like 30 minutes, maybe an hour. Let me just try to come up with something, even if it's just one word, one line, one bar. Let me try that. And then I get that, and then I go out. So it's kind of like the same principle, like out, but it's just like I'm just really trying to force myself to come up with something. Versus what before I was a little bit more relaxed. It was like, well, let me just go do this, and then if something comes to mind, I'll write it down or whatever. But now it's like, okay, let me just just go hard as I can and just try to figure this thing out.
For sure, that's funny you said that.
Something.
For sure, I felt the same way when I started making music, because I got into TV like through Full Sail, making music for television and stuff. So when I got out and I started having to make music for these shows, my process was kind of like yours, where I would take my time on music. It would take me sometimes like a day or 2-3 days, maybe even a week sometimes to make a whole beat, depending on the vibe. Right. And making music for TV is high quantity and high quality, so you have to be moving at a fast pace, making a lot of music at once. So like this project exposed that for us, but it definitely helped me kind of change the way that I have my system of how I actually make music, and it has helped me. I can say honestly, like I was working for this company Signature Tracks, and the head composer, he's worked with Jay-Z, he's worked with tons of different people. His name is Russell Howard. He just won the ASCAP writer most TV placements and theme scores on television. He won it last year, 2019, like this year. The award was given, and then he won it in 2017. But watching him make beats, I'm telling you right now, he can make like 3 to 5 beats probably within an hour easily, like just done, like completely mixed, wiped out. And just seeing his process is crazy, because he works at a pace where he doesn't stop. He just keeps going. So I know that this definitely puts you in a different position, because it put me in a different position as well. Even me, I had to make beats even more faster just to make sure I had them right and ready for you. And, it was cool to see that that timeline given to us, because I felt the pressure. I'm sure you felt it too. And not really getting caught up and stuck, like, I can't do this. Like, we just looked forward to the end goal, and it came out really, really dope. Like, I really like all the stuff we made too. So I can't wait to see this on television. And this is for the NBA. I don't know if I already mentioned that, but this is for the NBA. So hopefully we can see it on there. And then the person that we're connecting with that gave us this opportunity, Sonic Beat Records, he also said that this is possibly on the MLB or something like that too as well. So we'll see where this goes. But yeah, man, it's dope to see that process. And what's crazy is people don't know this, but you actually mixed the entire thing yourself. You've been mixing your own tracks since I've known you, and you have always had great quality. Like, always have great quality. And I know that when I was checking on your socials through the years and like checking in on you, if we haven't like stayed in touch or whatever, I would always see you like in the book studying, whether it's like videos on how to mix better, how to use a specific EQ, how to use, certain compressions and stuff like that. So how do you get your mixes to how they are now? What is your process for like any artists who are newer, who are trying to record their own stuff and mix it on their own? Like, what are some tips that you can give?
Well, what I like my biggest thing was always like, what can I do to get the best quality that I can get, but without having to spend a lot of money. One of the things that I notice about a lot of videos that I watch, like tutorials and what we're always saying, that it's not always about the gear that you have, but more so about the knowledge that you acquire.
Facts.
In order to kind of get a better understanding of like, okay, if you can make something sound pretty decent on this, then it'll kind of, I guess, transfer over to when you get better gear, you can kind of helps you sound a lot better. Because it is like, I know some of them say like the gear doesn't matter that much. It does a little bit though, because when you upgrade to better gear, it just kind of opens up more opportunities, quality and whatnot, which kind of in a way, I guess, kind of motivates you to want to even harder, because you just got this thing that you wanted so much. You got this thing that you wanted so much to that's helping you kind of like grow even more. But and then like watching these videos, man, I was just like, I just wouldn't stop, man. I didn't want to stop learning it because I wanted it so bad. Like it got to the point where if it wasn't like how I wanted it, I wouldn't even try to do it until I got to that point, because in my mind I was like, I know I can do it. I just got to figure out how. So then I would just keep watching tutorials, man. And then with me, like the way I learn and stuff too, like I have to kind of, not only do I, which I guess is something, for everybody, but I have to break it down in a way to where it's so simplified that once I understand it, it's just like second nature at that point, where I can just do it without, as if I've known it for years, but I've only known it for like maybe a month or two or whatever. But it's like, I just take my time with it, man, and I try to understand it detail that I can. And then I just put everything together, whether it be mixing, mastering, or whatever. I really take my time with and just build on whatever it is I already know. And then I know in some videos I've watched, man, it's like they'll kind of put me in a different. It can be. I know there's been times, man, where I would do something a certain way, and I know it's right, but then I would come across one video, and I'll still, even though I already know pretty much all the information they're talking about, I'll still watch it. And there's like one little thing that they'll do that's different. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I'll implement that into what I already know. And it kind of changes up the flow a little bit and makes it better.
Can you give me some examples? Like, how do you approach every track the same, or do you kind of switch it up? Like, do you always start, like, let's say, like when you are putting down the vocal processing effects on your track, are you always using like the same reverbs, the same delays, or same EQs, compressions, or what plugins do you usually like to use? You don't have to name the specific ones, but whether if it's like EQ or not, what's kind of your process of that?
Well, whenever I approach it, the main thing I do look for is like, okay, what can I? Well, I pay attention to, I guess, what the vocal lacks, or what needs to be taken away. As far as like, what I like to do is start off with subtractive EQ. So I like to take away what I feel like doesn't need to be there. So I definitely start with, start with like sibilants. Yeah, like I'll find the spots where it's like, yeah, this maybe it sounds too muddy, or there's something just going. Yeah, so I'll kind of take some of that out, because that's when I was watching some videos. They were saying that I watched a couple of kind of got me in the account. They were like, try to, before you start adding EQ to like, certain areas, like try to subtract some stuff first, and then, because sometimes you can just get away with just doing some subtractive EQ, which I'm not gonna say that I haven't done that before. It's been times where it's like, okay, like it can be just something as simple as like the high pass filter, where you take some of that stuff off.
Yep.
And like it'll just make that pop out nice. And then like acoustics matter too, man. Like what I didn't know for a while, well, like, because I thought it was mostly like the reason why I was results for the most part was because I didn't have the better gear. Mm-hmm. But come to find out, it was actually the room, because however your room sound is going to pretty much be that same sound when you microphone. So I was like, okay, well, let me look into what I didn't have. $2,000 to spend on something. acoustical. So I was like, well, what's the alternative? Looked into it, and I came across this stuff, man, called Roxor insulation, which you can go to the store and buy it up.
What's it called again? Your mic's cutting out a little bit. What was it called again?
Oh, it's called rock wool insulation.
Rock wall insulation?
No, rock wool. It's like a rock, and like wool, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And like it's made from I forgot what, I don't want to misquote. I think they said it's made from some kind of rock. It's somehow the process they do is made from rocks, so it's like lava or something like that. I can't remember.
That's dope.
Said, but yeah, I was like, man, that's crazy. And they were just talking real bit. It was like, this is the stuff that's in these acoustic panels. Like, you can just go buy the stuff yourself. So I went out into it. I was like, okay, well, let me put a little money into it and see, because what I didn't know was that the little foam pads, you see on the walls and stuff like that. I thought that's all that was needed. So I was really looking into just buying little pads that you stick on the wall.
Right.
And when I found out those are still good to use, but they only absorb so much, which is mostly in high end. So if you put a lot of them in your room, it's gonna probably tend to sound a little muddy, because it's taking out all the high end, but it's still keeping mid and that low and those low lows in there. So I was like, okay. And then when I looked into this new stuff, they were like, well, it'll balance it out. It'll get the highs, the mids, and a good bit of the lows, but not the low lows. Mm-hmm. Because another thing I didn't know was that no matter what, there's still going to be some cycle bleed in the very low lows, just because I know this one guy was saying, man, they had I think it was they had 8-inch concrete, 8-inch thick concrete walls, and there was still a little bit of bleed coming through on the low end.
Crazy.
So it's that's something that that's something that you just can't really get rid of. So I was like, okay, well, that's no problem. But for the most part, though, I definitely got a lot of a lot of the problems with control. And then with that, it kind of just really motivated me, because again, I was just so much about quality, and I just wanted to hear something sound better, man. And then and it really opened up my eyes. I was like, okay, a lot of what I used to hear, that I was like, why am I hearing this? Why does my recording sound like this? A lot of that stuff pretty much got cut out when I upgraded to some better acoustics. So it makes a huge difference, man. It's crazy. Even where you put the acoustics at, having the acoustics behind the speakers and having some to the side of the speaker, so those first reflection points and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So once you put that stuff in place, man, and I don't have any on the ceiling at the moment. I thought about doing it. I was like, I can get away with what I have right now, but to put some on the ceiling would even be another game changer, because you got to understand, when sound travels, it travels pretty much in every direction, up, down, all over the place. So when you can hit a lot of those first reflection points, whether it be on the ceiling, on the sides, or behind the speakers, it'll help so much, man, to get rid of things, because what you always want to do is you want to hear to help you get the best mix possible, the best masters possible. You want to hear the direct sound, and only the direct sound of the speaker playing. You don't want to hear a reflection that's bouncing off the walls. You want to hear that direct sound coming from the speakers. So I just stuck hard to it, man, and tried and just did my best to just find as much information as I can. And then I studied that information, and then I applied what I just did my best to just apply everything.
That's dope, bro. So what's your setup? What do you use as far as your microphone? And you use a Mac? You use a Mac Pro, right? Or use a Mac Top?
I have an iMac.
Okay, yeah.
I had since 2012, I think. I think I had it since 2012. I got it around near around the time I went to Full Sail, which was in 2011. And then I use a a preamp. I use a ISA1 Focusrite preamp. The mic I have, which is a big upgrade from all the mics that I used to have, is I have a what is this, a Neumann now?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Neumann TL11. Yeah.
That's good quality right there.
TL11.
That German
brand. Yeah.
Oh, the TLA.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think it's that, right?
Wait, hold on. Is it?
I don't know. I could be wrong. I remember taking a microphone
yeah.
theory class and having to test on
Yeah.
mics, and we learned
Yeah.
about Nareum, and they said that it was like a German mic, but that's all I remember.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the Norman TLM 102. And I know the one that we had in school that I really liked a lot was the Norman U87.
Oh
I was
yeah,
like, man, yeah, I was like, that's a nice mic,
that one
man.
was crazy.
Let me, yeah. So I was like, man, let me, so I was just really looking into that. I was like, let me see. I knew I wasn't going to get that mic because that thing was too expensive.
Yeah, it was expensive.
So I was like, well, let me see if they have some more affordable versions. Yeah, so I was like, okay, they got this one. I saw one for like $1,500. I was like, oh, that's still a little pricey. I saw this other one, it was like $800. That's in the range. Let me see what I can do to get this. And then, I talked to the salesman at Sweetwater. They helped come up with an ideal, whatnot, plan. So I was like, man, and they sent it out to me, and I went from work from there, man. I was just trying to create as much as I could because, again, like when you, like as far as quality goes, when you reach near the max of what you can quality, that you already have, and what you can do with that, how far you can go with that. So like on the old microphones I had, I knew there was only so much you could do, and there was still, even when you do have better acoustics, sometimes still little flaws in the gear that you do have, and you can fix those to the best of your ability, but those flaws are still going to remain there to a certain extent, simply because that's just the flaws of the gear, not necessarily the flaws of the actual person that's using.
For sure.
So whenever you, and then once you get that, and it doesn't take much, man. It really doesn't take, a salesman and a decent market, like, can take you so far, man. It's crazy, for those who just, really want to rap. You don't need a $80,000 setup, man. You really don't need to have a setup, man. Something that sounds like it came out of $1 million studio. It's just about that, getting the right acoustics, put them in the right places. And with the acoustic too, I spent about 300, I think. I have in each, like the installation itself, it comes in packs, 12 sheets per pack. So that's 12 acoustic panels already right there. And I bought another pack though because I wanted to make some 6-inch, because the original installation itself is 3 inches thick, and I forgot the length and the width, but I know it's 3 inches thick. But I wanted to build some like bass traps basically. So those, and I wanted to make those in the corners. So I just bought an extra pack and did my 6-inch thick bass traps, man, and it's beautiful, man. It worked out real.
Damn,
I like the sound of the room, man. It fit. I know that at some point in time I'll most likely want to upgrade to something else. To something more, should I say? But for the most part, man, it's getting. I love it.
Yeah, I could tell the quality, like the amount of work that you're putting into the actual treatment of how your sound sounds is a lot, because the quality of your music is really high. So it's dope to be able to hear that. And you make my job a lot easier, because a lot of the times like producers have to end up mixing the vocal tracks. I know in some cases I used to have to do that, but honestly, like from the time I met you, you've been one of the top, especially for a rapper, like engineers that I know. Your quality has always been there. So it's dope to kind of pick your brain and hear your setup with that, because the quality of your stuff is really dope. So going into that, the approach that we did for the album that we did, so I kind of want to talk about that, because I got the call to make 10 tracks or whatever, and then eventually Sonic Beat Records hit me up saying, if I had any vocalists, and I was like, all right, I got to get my boy Bernard on here, because you would be perfect for the brief that he sent. Basically, he said that he just needed 10 like high energy hip hop trap kind of tracks. Nice. And then anybody who had vocals on over them. And I immediately knew, like, yeah, I'm going to hit on my boy Bernard. And, it was cool to have the brief. And then basically the brief was you have your music based around, not specifically the NBA, but stuff that can go along with it, like coming back, the comeback, championships, like keeping the direction on path of what they wanted. And it's cool because I don't know if artists know this, but when you're making music, like if you're a producer and you're trying to get your music placed on television, I highly recommend working with artists because first of all, artists get paid more. When you use a background vocal on a television show, it gets paid more than just a regular instrumental. So background vocals get a good amount of money, especially through BMI, I believe. I think they get a little bit more. But when you do background vocals, you need a specific type of energy with it. And it's cool that you were able to match that so well very early on because this is your first project that you've ever done for television, right? So it's dope to see that, bro, that like you really hit it exactly like how they want. You really hit the brief exactly how they wanted it. And he was really impressed. He texted me afterwards, like saying he was really impressed with what you did. And yeah, bro. And it's cool because like all you had to do really, like for most of the songs, is just create one hook and one verse and just repeat it. Right, and that's a 2.5 minute song right there. That's a placement right there, bro. So I kind of wanted to see like your process of what was your thought process going into a lot of these tracks, because the energy on some of these, men, is ridiculous. Like, it's cool to hear. Like I remember I sent a couple of beats that I honestly didn't even like that much, where I was like, I'm not in love with this, but I really need to send him something, and I'm not going to overthink it and ruin the chances of this being something good, because you can carry the song, and you definitely carry like Masterpiece, that track. I don't like the beat for that track personally, but you killed it, and then you had the background vocals you were like singing to that. So I kind of wanted to see your process, bro. Like, what was your thought process going into some of these?
Yeah, well, like it's crazy because you actually kind of said a little bit of what I did is I didn't want to overthink it too much, but at the same time I wanted to make sure that when I do bring something, like when I do bring it, I want to bring something. I remember I was watching this TV show, man, believe it or not, NCIS, which is one of my favorite TV shows. I was watching it, man, and I was, enjoying it just as normal. And this guy said, whenever you do a job, do it like you mean it. And that thought stuck in my head, and I was like, yeah. And it's something I've always done anyway, but it just really hit me then. So I was like, you know what? Because there was times I didn't really like what I did, but at the same time, I was like, I'm not going to belittle it just because it's something that I'm, like, on my part, like as far as the vocals and stuff go. I was like, I'm not going to belittle it just because it's something I'm feeling, just extremely passionate about, but it's something that I do like. So either way it goes, let me still put as much work as I can in. Let me just do my best and see how it comes out. And then I do it, and I'm like, oh, it actually don't sound too bad. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I don't know, man. It is just, and then with the beat, I feel like, to me, man, every beat kind of really made it easier to kind of to mold everything, because just the vibe of it all. It wasn't lacking vibe, because I know that's something that's very important, is to find that vibe of any song. Once you get that vibe going, man, kind of just, it tends to flow a little bit easier. I'm not gonna say it's extremely easy, because sometimes, sometimes it'll take me to come up with something. But now a part of my process is don't overthink. Because if you overthink it, you might kind of overshoot or undershoot.
Preach, bro.
Yeah, just like, what I'm saying, just go with the flow of things, man, and definitely don't try to overdo it. And and don't, even if it's something that you don't like percent passion, just still try to just go in with, I said, I'm just gonna do it anyway, and I'm gonna do it to the best of my ability, because you never know what can happen from it. You know what I mean? So
100%, bro.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, because that's the exact mindset that I had to start going into myself, because I would get crippled by just overthinking stuff and doubting and, just trying to be too particular with stuff. And, that stuff really holds you back at the end of the day. Yeah. But you learn from it. It's cool to see your progress from that when you learn that type of yourself. Because I feel like as creatives, we're very nitpicky, and our mind is just full of ideas, and we're just constantly just thinking about different stuff. And, it's cool to see this transformation and what it took to get to the project that we got, because honestly, like, to be able to do that as fast as we did, it's not really that common. I've done tracks where I've done projects for like different TV shows, like on Lifetime, where they needed a whole vocals, and it would take literally like 3 months just to get 10 to 15 tracks finished, which would be crazy, bro. Yeah. Like, it would be so long, but it was cool to be able to work that out with you, where we were able to knock that out so fast. But yeah, bro. So I kind of wanted to see what kind of projects you have coming up now that we're over with this? Like, do you have any new projects coming up that you're working on, or any new music that you're going to start sharing? Like, what's your new route?
Yeah, for sure. So
For sure.
especially with the new, I guess, state of mind that I'm in too, it's like, I was actually, like, as soon as I actually finished this project, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was either a couple hours later or maybe the next day. I was like, you know what? Let me go back and listen to some other beats and stuff, and let me just kind of apply what I've kind of, like, this new state of mind. Let me apply this to, something that I already had going on, and it works, man. I started working on some more music. I did have a project that I wanted to work, that's still in the works. What I wanted to do was put out like maybe a small track, something, and then work my way up. Another thing I was thinking too was just really not even focus on putting out an actual project, but more so just putting out song, period. So I'm still kind of back and forth with that. But for sure though, just make songs, just make songs whenever, as much as I can, and just and just put the work in, man. And figure out the details, because I know for the most part it's pretty much about getting the songs done, and then I can pretty much kind of decide on what I want to do. If I want to put them out one by one, while I'm putting those out one by one, I can actually do those, or I can just kind of hold on to them, a single project. And then another thing I was doing, because I still kind of go back and restudy it just to kind of fresh in my mind. But another thing I was thinking about doing too was just like, if I put out one song and I could just market like crazy, and then come back the same, the same state of mind for the song, or I could just put out this whole project as one. And another thing I was thinking about was because I'm so, like, I don't know if it's the right word to say, but I guess I don't know, but like, I like to do different things. I don't like to really stick to one like sound so much. Mm-hmm. So I like to do something kind of different. So another thing I was thinking was if I come up with a sound that's not on the same like track as these other sounds, well, I can still make the sound I'll market it to different group people versus marketing it to these people that may not be so hip to this. They like this kind of sound. Separate the two. And something that I also had in mind was something that I'm still kind of thinking about. But there was actually I created the page already. Which, like I explained before, my name actually understands my after dark. So, wait, like,
can you repeat that? The website's your name?
Oh, yeah.
It cut off. My bad. The website's just.
Yeah. So what I was gonna do was I was gonna have two different pages, and I have the regular page, my regular setup, which is Nareum, which is nobody actually really understands my. And then I was gonna create a second one where I do different type of this different vibe that I have. I'll put that music, this other page, which is Nareum Dark, which is nobody actually really ever understands my after. So it's just gonna be like this whole different just vibe of things, man. So like whenever I come up with something that doesn't really fit in this and like on this side of things, I'll just put it over here, and then whoever likes it over there, they can do that. And then I was thinking about some other stuff, but I don't want to do too much because the thing about it is, us creatives, man, we can have so many ideas, but at the same time, understand that when you do have these ideas, you still got to put work behind them. And that's where it gets kind of difficult, because in your head it's like, okay, all I have to do is just this, but then in reality, there's a process to do everything. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that process, depending on how much work, or how much thought goes into it, or whatever, that process can be pretty long. And you got to think about, what other things that go on in life. Will you have the time to do all this stuff? You know what I mean? And that's another thing. That's another thing I'll say to people that really wants to get into the, different stuff, man. It's just just do your best to kind of have a battle over everything, because sometimes, man, this music stuff can get overwhelming simply because you might get into that state of mind where you just kind of want to do the best you can, but you start to overthink it. Mm-hmm. And that's why I was like, man, let me not get into that state of mind. Once you get into that state of mind, it's hard to get out of, because you always want to outdo the thing that you just did. It's not necessarily about you trying to outdo anyone else, but it's more so like, you know you can do better, so you're going to try to. But then at the same time, that mindset can be a little bit crippling. Like, you get to this point where it's like, you got writer's block or beat block. You're like, man, why can't I think of anything? You know what I'm saying? And it hits hard, man, and it kind of gets you in the mode of like, that sucks, and it makes you kind of want to not give up on it, but it'll make you want to stop and not really, try to put as much effort into it, because it's like, man, this is hard. It's, I'm starting to get like, it's starting to make me feel like insecure and stuff like that. So, but it's just a thing of balancing everything out. You don't want to overthink it, but at the same time, you do want to put some effort into it, of course, but definitely don't overthink it.
Right.
Just take your time with it, let things flow, and eventually something will come that'll help. Like, it'll just help everything mold together, and it'll be this beautiful masterpiece, man.
Facts,
that's how it's always.
Yeah. Facts, bro. I like to hear that a lot, man. It's really cool. I like that concept too, as well. Putting like two different styles of what you create, because it gives you, a whole different lane of, creatives and listeners to be able to listen to and adapt to. So it's dope that you're doing that. So I know that we agreed on doing like a mixing service. So I want to say, like, if anybody's out there looking to get their music mixed as far as vocals, stuff like that, definitely hit my man up. Where can they find your socials and everything like that?
Let's see. Well, I have one. My Instagram is Nareum, Nareum, and then we're all just all together. My YouTube, I think, is the same thing. Because I had a name change. There's some, but I know for the most part I did change the main things that I go to. My Facebook, my artist page is Nareum World. I have a SoundCloud that's Nareum World. So for the most part, the main things that I go to, those are I think there's maybe a few other things I have to maybe go back and change so that people can look those up. But for the most part, my Facebook, my SoundCloud, my Instagram, and my YouTube will be Nareum World. Now for YouTube, it's a little weird because sometimes what I like to do is I like to make sure that if people type in my name, there's actually someone else, a girl named Nareum World, Nareum T, and she's from China.
Oh snap!
So I'm like, well, okay, that's kind of weird. but what's cool is that it's literally just me and her. There's no one else named Nareum. You know what I'm saying? It's literally just us two. So I was like, okay, well, if they can't find me, they'll find her, and it's like, oh, persons. But if I'm not mistaken, if they just type Nareum World together, separated, just type it all together, and it'll pull me up. Or you can type in my old name, John Paradise.
For sure. For sure, bro. Well, I appreciate you coming on here, man. I'm going to wrap it up right here, but I'm going to play one of the songs from the actual album here. Actually, I'll skim through a couple of them, but I'm going to play one of them right now. I'm going to turn around and put this on the mic, and we're going to jam out to this. I'm going to share my screen too. So which one should I play first?
Let's see. I really like that. I don't know if it was it Champion or was it the other one? I can't remember what song it was. The one that I can't remember which one it was. I'm
gonna play the For Show one first, so people get what we're talking about.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's later in the song though.
Yeah, it is.
This is the first song off there. This one's dope because like this was like the most different one out of all the tracks, and I was scared to send this to you, but I'm glad you killed it.
Push it to the top, no other place it'll be. Gotta put in work, success will never be free. Can't be out here playing, only way you gon' eat. And when it's really time to grind, go 100 at least. When you at the bottom, keep on putting in work. Even if it hurts, you gotta stick to the turf. It might seem impossible, but only at first. Never give up on a dream, cause I swear it's the worst. Starting from the bottom, aiming for the big time. If you wanna shine, gotta grind big time. Took
on this part.
Stick to the grind, keep holding it down. Don't give up, it's coming around. Solid your feet on the ground, don't let the pressure turn you to a clown. Get in your mode and don't let it go. We turning it up for sure. Running it up for sure. Stick to the play, let's go.
Hey.
Duck your dodge whenever try to keep you from the goal.
I'm gonna play one more. That one's. I want to play Champion. You know what my favorite one is? It's Go Get It. Go Get It is my favorite. I love that one. But Champion is so crazy too.
I'ma put in work like a champion. Even at my worst, I'm a champion. Aiming for the best like a champion.
Hey.
I will never stop like a champion. Like a champion. I'm applying that pressure, I aim for the best at the tip top. I know it ain't easy, but still put in work, cause you better your chance if you don't stop. They say you miss all of the shots you don't shoot, so I'm shooting whenever I see the goal. Keep it low key, I don't tell them my business, just put in this work till it unfolds. True. Out on your plate when you aiming for something that put you in beast mode. Never give up on it if it get hard, cause really that mean you just so close. When it get better, you look at the moments you had to work harder than you ever did. Something you do to inspire the people is tell them that they can go do the same. Go be a champion, go be a champion. Yeah, go put in work, never give up. I know you can handle it. I know you can handle it. Yeah, watch all your haters cry, man. They so mad you an animal.
That song goes crazy.
Yeah, you a champion. Say it with me. I'm a champion. Say it loud. I'm a champion. I'ma put in work like a champion. Even at my worst, I'm a champion. Aiming for the best like a champion.
I wish you could see me right now. I'm going
I
crazy.
will never stop like a champion. Let the world know that I'm a champion. I'ma put in work like a champion. Even when
My boy Bernard, bro. I appreciate you, dog. Thanks for coming on here with me, and thanks for making that project with me. Definitely something I'm definitely gonna remember for the rest of my life, because that, like, I get motivated by it. It's not just something like we made and I'm not gonna listen to. I actually listen to this stuff, so it's dope to hear you just kill it, bro. So I appreciate you, man. You take care. I'll try to have this up as soon as possible. I have like one more podcast I want to shoot until I actually start releasing these. I want to release three at once. So, all right, brother. I appreciate you, man. Take care. Have a great night. And we'll be connected. If you want to respond to Sebastian, too, that way he knows that you're going to sign or not, just let me know. Yeah, for sure, brother. Take care. All right, later. Peace.